Now listen, unlike a certain Midwest football team that I know, the refs are not going to help you win on this Monday slate. But I know somebody that will help you, and it's my guy Mike. He's joining me right now to break it all down. Recording live from somewhere. This is One and Done.
Get out the insurance cards, get out the copays. The office is open, my friends. Brought to you by
It's time
drroto.com.
once again for everybody to come aboard that Green Screens Media train. See, I can't even do it. Green Screens Media. Old habits die hard. This is the One and Done CBB train that we're riding on. Bienvenidos a todos a One and Done, your fast break of college basketball información. I happen to be the conductor of the aforementioned One and Done train. My name is Jay Heinrich. Find me in those Twitter streets at Dr. William Cannon. But my guy right there, he's the captain of the Green Screens Media ship, fresh off of his guest spot over with our guys at Run Pure Sports. He is the captain of the One and Done ship. He does the ship, I do the train. At MC Holland 34 on Twitter. The OG Money Mike. Mr. Mike Holland. Mike, what to do?
Yo, what up, man? Hey, we still like the green screens, though. But yes, it is the One and Done CBB channel. But we could be the channel formerly known as.
There you go.
So there you go, man. But yeah, fresh off of a roller coaster weekend. Man, that Saturday main slate was not a lot of fun for my bankroll, but was able to have a nice little night slate. So, yes, did join the Run Pure Sports crew. Special thanks to Steve over there. Go ahead and give him a follow if you haven't. They do awesome work in all sports, but Steve is the guy for CBB for them, and he's at Steve Boynton VT, and then at Run Pure Sports. Go check them out. Hopefully we can have him on the show soon, maybe a midweek, like live before lock or something like that. So special thanks for that. That was a lot of fun, but glad to see you back in the studio here. We had Eric in here the other night, man. So I've seen some different faces. I've been used to seeing your face every night, man. So good to have you back again after a week off.
Yeah, four wisdom teeth lighter, and I can't say that I'm not much smarter, but I'm back and better than ever, ready to do this thing. And the live chat is on fire like normal. Our guy CC Hustle, Hall of Famer CC Hustle, out there doing his thing. Fire emojis. Corey, the king of the single entry, got second in a single entry last night. He almost wrote it out all the way from the start. Big time shout out to Corey for that. Eric the Blue, and pushing the buttons tonight behind the scenes, dropping the fire emojis. And then Darren E, always shouting us out on Twitter. We definitely appreciate him for checking us out there and here. If you want to check us out on Twitter, at One and Done CBB, that's the same place you can find us on Blue Sky, on Instagram, on TikTok, wherever there's a social. At One and Done CBB is where to find us for sure. 1,307 subs, Mike. A nice little bump there after your appearance with the RPS Broskies, and we've been on a nice little rise as it is anyway. So make sure you do your part in the One and Done CBB universe. Push those like and subscribe buttons. Turn on those notification bells. Branulus hopping in. Good evening to you as well. Almost took on the Sunday main slate, but a fourth place finish. That ain't too shabby. Congratulations. Nice. Well done. We're happy you're joining us here to hopefully see some green screens for this Monday slate. Mike, a 5-gamer tipping at 6:30 time, a $12 1K to first contest, the old it's heating up contest, of course. Oh yeah, hey, we want to make sure we shout out our guy Cam winning the night slate on Saturday. Big $500. Yeah, C Thuggin, CT Huggin, our guy. I'm sure we'll see him in the live chat later on. But shout out to Cam for big things on the night slate on Saturday. Definitely appreciate him for shouting us out. We want to see your green screens. That's where the green screens will never die. Like Mike said, we want to see your green screens. So show it to us on X, on wherever you got it. Tag us, follow us. We want to hear from you for sure. All right. Quick breakdown, Mike, of this 5-gamer before we get into these games. What's your breakdown?
Yeah, so you got, well, first of all, it's 5 different tips, man. This reminds me of Saturday. You've got a 6:30 Island lock Eastern time. You got 8 8:30, 10, 10:30. So kind of a hodgepodge. It's typically you have 2 or 3, especially during the week. So this is going to be kind of interesting as we work through this. But 2 big totals to start the slate. Then you have this ugly ACC game. We have an interesting game out in LA that we're going to talk a lot about. And then an intriguing hammer spot with 2 teams that love to get up and down. So all the studs on the slate are in good spots, if not great spots. And then you have this UCLA value. UCLA is just completely underpriced, regardless of what happens with some injury news there. So pretty much going to be able to do kind of what you want and get the studs that you want here. And yeah, man, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a nice, tight, and fun slate.
Definitely, no doubt about it. So make sure you hit those like and subscribe buttons, turn on the notification bell so you don't miss a minute every time we go live. Mike's bringing the heat. We're all bringing the heat. I was glad Eric was able to hop in the other day. Chris filled in for me too at the Real Napier, our guy. But I love being here, and I couldn't wait to get back in the host chair with our guy Mike to break it all down. So let's get to this 5-gamer right now, Mike. Like you said, a bunch of different tip times. You're going to be able to make changes if you need to. If you've got things that are sitting there that you're a little bit unsure of, just get your placeholder lineups in and then go from there. Let's start with Penn State traveling to Ann Arbor. Penn State losers of 5 out of their last 6, and Michigan losers of 2 out of their last 3, including getting absolutely mollywopped by Purdue last Friday, although the Wolverines are sitting in 3rd place in the Big Ten. Let's start with the Nittany Lions, 38th in tempo, and I might as well just say it out at this moment too. Michigan 49th, so we understand why the total is 160. Yeah, we're excited about this one for sure. Steel boost for Penn State here. Michigan turns the ball over a ton in conference so far, and Michigan is also dead last in Big Ten play in turning teams over. So Penn State's going to get their looks starting. You got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them. Don't you fold on Ace. He's 9K flat. No need to worry. My accountant handles that. One of the best spend ups on this slate, Mike. You know he's going to play every single minute. In fact, he's played 3 straight games of 40 minutes. So that's not hyperbole. He's literally playing every single minute. Literally. And the rates match what you would expect them to be. 27% usage rate, 39% assist rate, 3% steal rate. Talked about that bump a little bit ago. This is a matchup where you can see Ace not just like falling into a few, like 5 or 6 stocks is not out of the realm of possibility here. And I feel like he's a pretty great play in all formats, Mike.
Yeah, great spend up option. And then it kind of renders the rest of the side, at least the other guys that are, kind of the 7K range. I don't know. They're not going to be very popular, I don't think. Like Nick Kern, he's sitting here at 7,600. I like him as a popular play in cash settings at this price point. 6 straight games with 20-plus fantasy points. He plays heavy minutes. The rates are solid across the board. So I don't think I'll be firing him up just because that upside is taken out a little bit by the price tag here. So for Nick Kern, if playing double ups, cash games, I definitely don't mind clicking him there. YKN coming Niederhauser, 7,500, and man, just a complete boom bust option for GPPs. He had his best offensive rating of the season versus in Big Ten play versus Iowa. I think actually on the season, but he only played 14 minutes. I mean, this guy can absolutely get it done. 4 for 5 from the field, but 4 fouls. So he had 25.5 fantasy points. Obviously, Iowa just gives it up to Big. So he's an interesting target for GPPs. You can never touch this guy in cash because he can disappear, and he's actually kind of been down in conference play as far as his production. But yeah, this spot I guess is he's gonna need to be out here with the double bigs that Michigan runs out here. So I think he's pretty interesting for GPPs. Zach Hicks at 7,200. Like anytime Zach Hicks is at this price tag, it's just not for me. Like he's having a great offensive season. He's 26th in the country in offensive rating. He's got a little bit of rebounding upside. He's playing massive minutes, 34 plus and 5 straight. But for me, he's more cash than turning. He kind of falls in line with Nick Kern, where it's like, I don't know, just with how the way the slate is, that I don't see myself targeting Kern and Hicks in tournaments. I see myself in Niederhauser and Baldwin, and then also you got these cheapy guys who you kind of want to get to in tournaments. Freddie DeLeon, he's 5K. His minutes are starting to ramp up. The problem with him was he was always in the mid 20s minutes, but now he's touching 30, 31 minutes in the last couple of games. I mean, that's a huge difference for a guy that's now 5K. So he has some stock upside. His shot rate is up in conference play by 1.5%. He has 5.68 ceiling. So definitely a tourney play here. And then we'll have to mention Dunn here. He's 4,400, but the problem with DeLeon, getting 30, 31, it has to come from somewhere. And that's kind of where you see DeMarco Dunn here with his minutes down. So, look, if you want to play the game theory where somebody gets into foul trouble and he has to get a little bit more run, get back into the 20s that we've seen, I definitely don't mind a Dunn. I know he's had to step up when Baldwin's been down and some other guys. So in those scenarios, he can get up into the 30s, but I don't think that we need to, because we have this UCLA value that we're just gonna absolutely eat up. But yeah, for me in tournaments, man, it's gonna be Baldwin, Niederhauser, DeLeon. And then if you're looking at cash, Kern and Hicks on this side.
You're telling me with a name like Freddie DeLeon, you think he's not going to come through with you when you need him the most?
Exactly.
5K flat. Again, when you see those minutes spike, that's what you'd like to see, and it's been consistent. So really hoping to see that out of him on a Monday. Michigan here on this side, 84 implied points, according to Ken Palm's metrics here. Penn State's D has been struggling during Big Ten play. I mentioned they're on quite a snide of late, giving up 35% from 3 and 56% from 2. That's not really a recipe for success, if you ask me. Michigan's going to get a bunch of dimes in this one. And like I mentioned earlier, they just got abused by Purdue on the road late last week. So let's start with Vlad Golden, Mike, 9,200. You talked about the double big lineup that Michigan's going to put out there, and how Penn State is going to have to combat that. Well, Golden is basically the centerpiece of that, and only because I'm not going to give Danny Wolf some of the love that he needs, because I could never get him right. But he's basically a fantasy point per minute player in his career is Golden, right? And this year he's been getting major minutes and crushing slates, but now we're paying for it. We're finally paying for that. Where earlier in the year, Danny Wolf was the guy that we were having to pay $9K, $9,400 for and really price it up there. Now Golden has sort of has taken that spot, but you understand why. He's top 20 in the country in effective field goal percentage, top 100 in shot block rate. He's also lowered his fouls per 40 every single year that he's played. He's on the floor, Mike. And the upside that's there, the 45 to 50 fantasy point upside in this spot, it's going to be hard. And there's going to be value later on. Like you said, we're going to be able to get to Golden if we want him, Mike.
Yeah. And so here's the deal, right? And a couple of theories with this Golden Wolf situation is Golden's going to be a lot less popular because Danny Wolf is 8K. So there's a $1,200 difference, right? Danny Wolf's rates across the board are legit, has some triple double upside. Talk about the assist boost. I don't know how Penn State's gonna handle these guys. Zach Hicks, come on, Danny Wolf's probably gonna eat him alive. Man, I love him as a tourney play, love him as a cash play. Wolf can also go for 45 to 50 fantasy points. He's it's kind of reminds me of Queen and Reese. We were talking about in our chat, right, from Maryland. You can actually do the Eric the Blue thing, which is play 2 expensive forwards, which a couple of years ago that was a big thing that he was doing, and we used to debate about it all the time. I always play an expensive forward with an expensive guard for correlation, but the correlation between the Michigan bigs, it actually works because Danny Wolf can facilitate offense. He can rack up assists. The only time they really eat up at each other is rebounds, but May does a good job of getting Golden out or Wolf out at the first media timeout, and so one can kind of be out there doing his thing, and then the other one comes in, and they come back together under 8, and so it's kind of one of those things where he's got it figured out. So I just think he's an awesome GPP option, which makes Vlad Golden even more appealing because there's a lot of good plays on the slate, especially spend up options. So playing both together is actually super interesting. For the rest of the squad, Trey Donaldson, 6,200. Like, I love real life Trey Donaldson. I thought this was we talked about it during the offseason. Like, this was a really good transfer for these guys. To me, he's kind of been like the unsung hero of this group. Like, I know he doesn't like pop all the time, but boom bust potential, it's there. I kind of like him as a stacking partner. 6,200 is kind of rough. So I don't think it'll be popular at all. If you think that, Michigan gets into the 90s, he's probably going to have a bunch of assists and, have some fantasy points. I don't ever play Namari Burnett at 6K. I never get him right. He's really relying on knocking down threes and racking up steals, but that price point, 6K, probably not. I'll let somebody else beat me because we have, and with Jason B jumping in the chat. What's up, Jason? We got Roddy Gale sitting down here at 4,900, and he's turning into like Riley Kugel from Florida a few years ago or last year. And it's like, there's the massive ceiling, 30 fantasy plus point ceiling, right? He's got to shoot it well. And because the double bigs have worked out so well, he's not taking as many shots. So the price is kind of reflecting what he's been doing. Also, it feels like Dusty May wants to get Reuben Jones more involved. So, we'll see how that
complicates it.
That complicates the whole thing, man. So, you'd be a fool not to have shares of Roddy Gill in tournaments. He's just too cheap. But don't be surprised when he has 17 fantasy points and he actually shoots like 4 for 8 from the field. So you're like, oh, he shot 50%, but he didn't do anything else. So that's kind of the deal with Roddy Gale. So if he's going to be mega popular, Jay, like I want to be underweight on him. And then Reuben Jones and Will Cheddar off the bench, like Jones, 3,900, like he's starting to see some minutes from Gale and Burnett at times, 20 to 25 minutes in the last 5. He's been absolutely dreadful from the field this year, but that's not like his game. He's a guy that gets some stocks. He's he's not reliant on that. So if he does knock down a few shots and 3,900, like he hits a 3, like that's pretty solid. So, more of a secondary type value piece. And Will Cheddar, I always play him in tournaments because if one of the bigs like Golden or something happens to get in foul trouble or Wolf happens to get in foul trouble, this guy will get out there. He's 3,600. He'll then get into the 20 minutes. He typically gets, mid-teens, but he can hit 2 to 3 threes at 3,600. He's 3 threes. That's 3X. And his minutes get pushed to 20. You can see him fall over some rebounds and maybe a stock. So, man, a lot to obviously love about this Michigan side, but you do have some landmines with Roddy Gill here. But the double bigs, man, look awesome. And we'll see what people do with both of them because I think we'll see what it was the other night where Reese was 3%. I mean, that's probably not going to happen, right? Because Golden's too damn good. But you could see there being, Wolf being double the ownership of Golden. Wouldn't shock me.
Yeah, I mean, our guy Darren hopping in saying Golden with the old arrow up and Wolf with the thumbs down. Looks like he's going to be on Golden a lot more, and I think I probably will end up as well. And that usually means Wolf goes for his 50 fantasy point because it's coming. Good stuff there. Yeah, it's a great game to kick things off here on this 5-game slate on a Monday. Let's hop in that live chat and see Tubby checking in. Yes, the sweet sounds of Dr. William Cannon. Thank you so much, Tubby, for checking in. We definitely appreciate always seeing you in the live chat, for hanging out with us and for shouting us out on Twitter and stuff. It's like Michigan has no backup plan to the Bigs roll. They roll, and if not, they're lost. Well, it's what works. When it works, it works.
It's been working a lot.
And it has been working a lot for sure. Scott Harris checking in, giving us the 5-star review.
Oh,
we appreciate you,
5
Scott.
stars. Nice.
Awesome, man. Very good to see you there again in the chat. And then Darren shouting out former UNT Mean Green Reuben Jones. Good stuff there, Darren. Appreciate you always hanging out with us. We appreciate everybody. If you're hanging out with us over on Twitter, we appreciate you. We see you in the lobby. We see you just sort of, if you're scrolling, you stop scrolling. You're hanging out with One and Done. Great. Get over to YouTube, One and Done College Basketball or One and Done CBB. Type it out in the search bar on YouTube. Hit all the buttons that you need to so you don't miss any time that we go live. Hit the like while you're there. Subscribe button, of course. Notification bells. Turn it all on so you catch us going live. You get that new countdown that we've got up there at the start of the show. Everybody, it's really nice at the music when you're waiting on us, and then you get the cold open, and then we rock right here on One and Done. So thanks for hanging out with us. Keep the live chat going. Let's hop to game number 2 on this Monday slate. Mike, Iowa traveling on the road to Ohio State. 168-point implied total here, according to Ken Palm's metrics. Let's start with the Iowa side, who had lost 3 straight before beating the aforementioned struggling Penn State Nittany Lions last Friday. So they have a win under their belt recently, at least. And they do like to get the ball up and down a little bit, 31st in tempo. Problem is Ohio State, Mike, I don't know if you knew this, they play a little bit of defense. In fact, they're 29th in defensive efficiency. So with that being said, a little bit of a size advantage inside, though, for the Hawkeyes, Mike, and this is starting with Owen Freeman here, 8,600. Another nice year for him, playing big minutes, averaging 1.2 fantasy points per minute. And in a matchup like this, where you just sort of look around, like, you know, the John Travolta, like, where he's looking around, like in Pulp Fiction or whatever, like looking around for somebody that's going to guard Owen Freeman. Who's going to guard him? I mean, let's think about this here. The big-time tournament ceiling drawing me in to Freeman, Mike. 20-10 upside with stocks in this matchup. The Ohio State, okay, let's talk about their defense for the last 3 games, okay? They gave up 21 points combined to Penn State bigs. Dawson Garcia scored 20 points, and both UCLA bigs had big games, 23 and 18 points, respectively. Owen Freeman, 8,600. Okay, let's say for some reason you can't get to 9,200 to Vlad Golden. Okay? I think Owen Freeman can slide in there and is a nice replacement there and can really, you can start to build your lineup around a player like Freeman on the slate.
Yeah, we've already talked about 3 high-priced quality forwards that we want to get our hands on here. And could I interest you in maybe another one here? And I think, YKN from Penn State is an interesting tourney play, and he's, up there at 7.4 or 5 or whatever it is. But here it is, Sanford, right? 8,200. And this is the Peyton version, the more expensive version. Just a sick play for tournaments. He has massive scoring and rebounding upside, 45, 50 fantasy points if he's nailing threes and getting his rebounds. So he's 8,200. I don't know that he'll be that popular with all the guys that we've talked about. Like somebody you can get, I mean, the thing is the value, we'll talk about at UCLA, it's actually at the Ford spot. So Ford's pretty nice on this slate here. But you also have some UCLA guards that you can jam in. So it's going to be interesting. Somebody's ownership isn't going to be as high with all these guys we're talking about here. Sanford definitely in the tournament player pool for me. Josh Diggs, not in the tournament player pool for me. He, 7,400, just the upside feels like a little bit capped there. Like the minutes are absolutely there. He's super effective. Just a 17% usage rate though, man. So I don't think I can get to old Josh Diggs here. Drew Thelwell, man, former Morehead State guard. He's now 7K with Iowa, which that just tells you how crazy CBB can get. Probably going to be much lower owned than these other guys here. I don't know that I have a lot of interest. A little bit for tournaments. Like he's starting to kind of settle in. He's a 3-point shooter. He's got some steal upside. He's 33rd in the country. Just in a weird price tag because I'm really wanting to get to those stars and scrubs builds on this slate. So these guys in the 7s, low 7s and mid 6s, just kind of an awkward place to be. Brock Harding at 6,500, kind of meh. Like he's just kind of a table setter. He feels like he's like $500 too expensive for me to use him in tournaments. So just not in love with Harding here. I got some interest in some of these cheap guys off the bench. You got Price Sanford. He's 4,100. He's one of the 2 main bench pieces. He had a $600 decrease after, just I don't know, man. Like he has 20 fantasy point upside. We know that McCaffrey, he loves and kind of hates his Sanfords, right? 4,100, like 12 to 14, 15 fantasy points, not on this slate, and probably not going to be good enough with the value that we're going to talk about. So I just think he's interesting because every now and then he'll pop for 20 fantasy points, and that's when he's really shooting it from three, shooting at 40%. So if he hits, 3 threes, like, and he's getting he's getting a little bit extra run in the mid 20s, and you could really see him doing something. And then Traore, he's at 3,800, kind of taking over that backup big role, super volatile. You just don't know if he's going to get 10 minutes or if he's going to get 20 minutes. Kind of depends on what Freeman does, like if he's fouling, get in there. Just kind of an interesting, like, large field, game stack. Like, and Mustarovich the other day, me and Steve were joking about it. It's like, yeah, that guy's just not good. And then he ends up being on, going like 5-6x at, 30 off the bench. So it's like these things happen in tournaments. That's, I think Corey had him on his second place. He avoided the 2 chalk pieces that were easy to get to and ended up using a secondary value piece that got him there. So I would obviously a lot to like on this side at a 75 implied total.
Big time total here in general, 168. Even if it goes under, there's going to be some real life points scored and some fantasy points scored as well. Let's get to the Ohio State side here. Paced up, obviously. We talked about Iowa's pace at 31st in tempo. Ohio State's 181, but, can dig that for sure. Aside from that, Iowa's just been not – how do I say this politely? Their defense has been atrocious. Let's just say that. Okay, dead last in defensive efficiency in the Big Ten, giving up 39% from 3 and 60% from 2. We thought those stats I gave earlier were bad. Yeah. It was like 35 and 56%. Yeah. No, 39% from 3 and 60% from 2 is Iowa. So good stuff here for Ohio State, who, by the way, have not played since last Tuesday either. Fresh legs, going to get up and down in a pace up. A lot of points I feel like are going to be scored on this Buckeye side, and it's going to start with Bruce Thornton, their main cog. He's the grease that gets the thing slipping. 8,400. I wish I could have come up with a better thing than that. That wasn't very good. He's the straw that stirs the drink. There you go.
All faithful.
Fine. There we go. Just go back to the one where I couldn't. It's too safe. Anyways. Bruce Thornton, though, he's playing every minute another guy that's on the court, basically for 40, if not 40, 36 plus. Solid rates across the board. I think we're seeing the price tag on the way down now, Mike. And for what we would have had to pay for him before, the fantasy production really hadn't been there. And even right now, I think what you've got to look at, Are there better options at guard to spend up for? If you're going to spend up on a guard, Thornton's somebody.
Yeah, opportunity cost spending up at guard.
Well, the upside here, 45, 50 fantasy points in this game environment, there's going to be a ton of points scored, period. And if Thornton has his game at 8,400, you're going to be looking mighty fine. If he doesn't, though, which again, it's just tough because when you're paying up for this price, somebody's going to be paying up for somebody's going for 50.
Yeah, somebody's going for 50 on this slate.
Somebody's going for 50 on this slate,
if not multiple.
Look, I think Thornton's. Let's leave it at this. He's a solid cash option, and I think he can be in your player pool for your tournament play. Can you go 40% Bruce Thornton? No, I don't think you can. But I think you got to sprinkle him in a little bit. Just it's the game environment, the upside, and as I like to find a player with the price on the way down, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be using him. I think it'll be interesting. If we get a couple of busts on the forward side and you have a Bruce Thornton 47 piece, it's going to be nice. Devin Royal kind of fits the bill too. He sits a lot cheaper. He's 7,100. He's another forward. This guy we were paying $8K for not too long ago. Prices continue to fall. I have some tournament interest in him. He has to play big minutes for this team to be successful. Like they need his scoring. Leads team in usage. 31% combined rebounding rate. He's got double upside in this matchup here. Like all of these guys on the Ohio State side are definitely interesting because I could see them scoring 90 real life points here. But I'm mostly interested in the guys up at the top. Micah Parrish at 6,700. I know he's been on fire in the last couple of games here. I'm just a little nervous about this price tag at 6,700. Like I said, trying to go a little more stars and scrubs here. So,
Darren's asking in the chat, Mike, how do we get another Mobley Parrish 30-plus game there? I mean, is that asking for too much in this one, even with this sort of a total?
So here's the thing with Parrish is that he's not missing. And honestly, that could probably continue against Iowa. Everyone's making everything. I mean, he's 16 of 23 in the last few games. He's 7 of 11 from 3. So, like, there's still some negative regression that's supposed to happen here.
Maybe.
Kind of an interesting tournament option. I mean, John Mobley, though, sitting here at 4,800, kind of like this guy can really shoot it. The problem here is that, like, we kind of saw this is weird. Like, Glover got more minutes in the last game, so not sure if that's going to be a thing. But I know Mobley's price is so cheap. We were playing him at 5,800. But he can really shoot the ball. It's a lot better when Royal's out because Royal, that usage rate really it takes away from Mobley being able to get a bunch more shots when Royal's not in there. So I don't know. Interesting for tournaments. All these guys are. Sean Stewart, 4,700. Look, he's going to play 20 minutes. He's going to have 20 plus fantasy point upside. He's got a 5% shot blocking rate. He's live to get a bunch of rebounds. He's 13th in the country in defensive rebounding rate. He just needs efficiency, and this should be a spot where we talked about, Iowa giving it up, right? All over the place. And yeah, he's a little interesting too, man. Quest Glover, 4K. He's only 1 for 5 from the field last game. He had 23 minutes, 11 fantasy points. He's just always intriguing because, like, we know how good he was when he came over. He was at Samford a few years ago in the mids, just lighting it up every night. So, man, yeah, it's gonna take a high score tomorrow, man. To especially after we talk about this UCLA value. So, gonna be a lot of fantasy points going here.
Yeah, that'll be the last game that we talk about on this slate. But there is going to be plenty of value for us to get to for sure. Good stuff. Keep the live chat rolling as Tubby has hopped in saying a few days ago he was running late and just dude, there's so many of these games are late. If you show up late, just get your stuff reserved and say, oh no, I forgot. Who cares? Get in there and just throw in all the late game guys, because there's so many teams that aren't starting until 8:00. Just throw them in there and then take your time and get in there. Just usually add the 5 to the normal mean versus Iowa. Yeah, of course. Tubby's riding the wave. Tubby's riding the wave until it crashes. Okay, he's riding Micah Perry. I don't blame him, man. Like, again, like we talk about guys, shooting 50% from 3, and it's like we're in January.
Yeah.
Like, maybe that's just what some of these guys are. I know Parrish is on quite a bit of a heater right now, but in a total with would I be surprised if somehow this is a game that we're looking at 168? Would I be surprised if this somehow went under and we didn't get? But the upside here, like being able, like there could be, like you said, 90 real life points scored by Ohio State, and nobody would blink an eye about it. It could happen. So we got to get involved in this one for sure. Good stuff there. 2 games down, 3 to go for this 5-game Monday slate. Make sure you hop in the live chat like Tubby and Darren have. The guy Scott Harris, Jason B, Branulus, Eric Romoff, Eric the Blue, Corey and Chris, Nape, CC Hustle all hopping in there. Make sure you do that. Push all those buttons, like, subscribe, notification bells. 3rd game, the sandwich here, and it's all squished down in the middle of this slate because we're not going to spend too much time on it because we had a 160-point implied total and then a 168-point implied total according to Ken Palm's metrics. And then your eyes do not deceive you. Do not clean your viewing device. That says 132 points there for a total here. North Carolina State's only implied for 55 of those. So when your tempo is 332nd in the country and your opponent in Duke is 265th, oh man. And I mean, Duke, it's not like Duke's not playing good defense either. They're only 3rd in the country in defensive efficiency, and not a lot to love for 55 points on an implied total. I'm crossing it all off, Mike. I don't even think I can mess with it. You know how many guys checked in last game against SMU in a 6-point game? I'm not even going to let you guess. It's 12. 12 guys checked in
12 guys
on this one. And on the road, I'm not counting on anybody. What are your thoughts on the North Carolina State side?
Yeah, it's super annoying, man. I don't know, dude. I'm probably with you. Like, Marcus Hill, too expensive. Not paying $7K. Not after everybody that we just talked about. Jaden Taylor, like really the only guy I think you can consider because he's playing really well. But geez, man, like everything has to go right for him. You got to think they're keying in on him. We love Bill Middlebrooks, but 5,400, man. He's always interesting in GPPs. So if you think somehow the problem is they just play so many guys, man. Styles at 4,900, no. Michael O'Connell, like he just kind of hangs out, plays a lot of minutes, but he just kind of hangs out. They need to get Dennis Parker on the court a little bit more. He's 3,600, super talented. If it's a blowout, I would think that he's going to get 20-ish minutes. But I mean, when you talk about it, man, like this is all just like you're just trying to throw a last man in, like to just be different. And I don't even know that you need to do that. It's not like it's like you're not playing against like 800 people tomorrow. You're not playing against 3,000 people tomorrow. So there's not really a point to doing that. It's just kind of silly when you look at the kind of the context of the slate for me.
Well, and we're going to get to that UCLA value, but if you're going to get to Cooper Flagg on the Duke side, 11K flat, you're going to need to find a lot of that value to get to any of these other players that you want. And Parker, again, like you said, you could do worse than Dennis Parker in what's going to be a blowout. Like this is not going to be pretty. It's not going like nobody's going to write to their mama about this game, except maybe Dennis Parker because he's probably going to get a lot of run. So it's something to consider here. Let's get to the Duke side though. 77 implied points in this one. It's just so ugly. In a big time blowout. I mentioned Flagg a little bit ago. The price king that he is, he's even in this total, he's a lock for 40 plus fantasy points, right? But is he going to play the last quarter, worth of minutes? The last 10, 8, 9, 10 minutes, is he going to be on the floor? It's just tough for me to get there. I mean, I think you've got to find a way. You can get to him. And you can get Flagg in, and you can get to another guy that's in that 8K range too, even if you get Flagg with the amount of value that's on here, I feel like. And especially Flagg's positional flexibility will help you get to where you want to be because nobody's going to stop him. And, crazy price tag though, Mike.
Yeah, it's a crazy price tag, man. You just mentioned how much we love all these guys that are, 8K to 9,200. And then it's like, you just play Cooper Flagg at 11K. It's like, whoa, hold on, man. Like, I don't know. Those first two games seem a lot more interesting. But this Duke side, man, 80 real life probably coming here, which means they're probably going to play a lot of guys. Mally Watch at 6,400, kind of a boom bust GPP target. Like this dude has double upside with stocks. I can block a bunch of shots here, man. I don't know that I'll get to him. I kind of like the shooters a little bit more and the facilitators more in this spot. I know he can gobble up a bunch of rebounds, but he also has to do a flag, and then they want to get Ngongba out there. So I don't know if the minutes will really be there for him to absolutely, just decimate the slate, but he has that type of ability. So Con Knipple here at 5,900. I'd imagine he's going to be popular. Like this is too cheap for him. He can easily score 20 real life points. He's a good rebounder. He's a really good passer. I really like him, especially when he's at this price tag. I usually play him in tournaments when he's 6,500. So yeah, Con here at 5,900. Definitely like it. Sound James here, he's 5,700. I mean, obviously everyone's in play on the Duke side. I just don't think there's a lot of tourney upside with James. So probably going to be crossing off James here, especially when you consider Knipple's $200 more. And then Tyrese Proctor is $500 cheaper. So, like Con, I like to use Proctor usually as a stacking partner with Flagg or like as a one-off on the Duke side, just hoping Flagg doesn't just completely, obliterate the slate. But even if Flagg puts up 50, I think with all these other forwards and these guys that have 45 fantasy point upside in these big totals, I don't think Flagg absolutely kills you. So, I do like me some Tyrese Proctor here to, assist upside. He has 25 to 30 fantasy point upside in this matchup. And then you got the bench pieces, the forwards, right? Mason Gillis shoots a lot of threes. He can rebound it for you. And then, you got Patrick Ngongba, who's had he's had 10 plus fantasy points in 3 straight games. He's pretty cheap, man. And this thing gets out of hand. Like you could see him playing 20 minutes. And if he got 3 stocks last game, that was a 7-point game at Wake Forest. Like you could see him getting, 5-6 rebounds, getting 3 or 4 stocks, like get a couple of, easy hoops. Like he's kind of intriguing as like a large field option. But yeah, obviously a lot to love on this Duke side. You can, I wouldn't be mad if you click really anybody. I just have my most concern with Maliwatch and James, where Maliwatch does have that tournament upside, but James is really just kind of there. I think all these other guys are just better price points.
Branulus saying that Cooper Flag is a fade for them in that game environment, and I don't blame you. I mean,
so it makes him a great tournament play.
Yeah. So again, I think a lot of people are going to have that same mindset, right? And we got some volatility here, but we've got some value coming up in this next game that we're going to talk about. So you will be able to get to Cooper Flag for sure. Good stuff, Ranulus. Thanks for keeping the live chat flowing, as well as one of our favorites in the chat, Peanut Butter Posse. Must be nice to play in the ACC. Plenty of time to rest those injured players. Yeah, Big Blue's a little banged up there for our guy, Peanut Butter Posse. Pope will be fine. I told you, the last time I was on, I said they were about to struggle a little bit. I literally said that the last time I was on the air. It's okay. They're going to be fine. You know it. I know it.
Yeah, ups and downs in the SEC this year.
Yeah, and every single night is it's a resume builder out there in the SEC, and it's not in the ACC. To your point, Peanut Butter Posse, it's not, and we know that. Kentucky will be fine. Friend of the show, Mark Pope. We interviewed him a couple of years back. We like to joke around these parts that he got that one and done rub, got to get that job at Kentucky after we interviewed him in BYU. But yeah, good stuff there, turd sandwich time. No, Peanut Butter Posse, let's be positive here. Let's be positive here as we move on to this fourth game of this 5-game Monday slate. Everybody's hit the like and subscribe and the notification bells as we get to UCLA and USC. What a classic Big Ten rivalry this is, right? Jeez, just feels so bad saying that. UCLA on this side, Mike, and we talked about we've been hyping it up. We've been hyping up the value, the cheap upside guys for the Bruins here, and we're finally getting to them. UCLA's tempo 272nd, not great, but it is a little bit of a pace up for them on this one. USC just is struggling to defend the rim, and one of the things that I know is guaranteed to get a thumbs down from Mike. UCLA is 76th in bench minutes used, so big time thumbs down there. We don't like to see them in the 2 digits there especially when we're talking about rankings there. All right, so we're here. The pricing on this side is really enticing, Mike. But I sort of hinted at it coming in right before we started talking about this game. There's volatility, a little bit of uncertainty. I'm going to start on the top end like I've been doing, though, Mike. 6,800 for Kobe Johnson. Kobe, little cash target, I think. Only 2 games under 20 fantasy points since mid-December. So you know that floor is there for Kobe. Doesn't take a lot of shots, but he don't want to do your dirty work no more. Except he does. He does all the dirty work, and you like to see that. And I like to take a little walk down Narrative Street too. If you remember, Kobe played for USC last year, so a revenge spot for them. So I took the expensive guy, or expensive if you want to call it, for UCLA, right? Mike. So work us the rest of the way down this roster here and really dive into some of that value we talked about.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can get to three UCLA guys pretty easily. And Eric Daly at 6,600 with his position flexibility. I don't know why he has guard eligibility, but whatever. That's a different show. Nearly a fantasy point per minute. He's got easily 30 fantasy point upside. Really good rates across the board. Can attack the rim. It's going to be a nightmare for USC. And the thing you have to look at is Tyler Bilodeau. So first thing I saw was like, oh my goodness, like he's 5,100. Like that's insane. If he plays, like that's still an awesome, price tag for him in this matchup. Injured his ankle in the last game. He only played 3 minutes. I don't know if the algorithm just didn't like that because he dropped $1,300 to this. I mean, this guy we'd pay $8K for this guy at one point. So big time upside if he's in. If he's out, then that makes the line of sight a lot easier. We'll talk about if he's out, man, like Adimara at 4,200. He is going to be insanely popularly owned here at 4,200. He absolutely destroyed Washington. Like the minutes haven't been there for him, but we know he's super talented. One of those international guys from last year that it's taking him some time to get it going, and now he just needs some opportunities. So with Bilodeau out, he just came in and went off. Look, the thing about it, right, is that Bilodeau has to be out for this to work. But he's going to be probably the most popular value piece, one of the most popular plays of the slate if Bilodeau misses. And even looking at the forward spot, nice value, right? You have to go back to these guards, man. Like Sky Clark, 4,700. Sebastian Mack, 4,600. Dylan Andrews, 4,400. So Sky here, I don't know where this came from. Darren saying sky's the limit. 28, 27, 28 in the last three. Most of this is coming from he's hot right now. I expect him to be popular, but there's some risk here. Like, he's not a guy that takes a lot of shots, as you can see in the game log here. He's only 15% shot rate. He's also known for dropping like 12 fantasy points. So Sky Clark, the volatility's there. All of these guys have like 10 fantasy point floors, and they have like 25 to 30 fantasy point upside at these like mid 4K price tags. Sebastian Mack, I don't know that anybody gets thrown in the doghouse more than Mack. Feels like Cronin doesn't really know what to do with him and Dylan Andrews, but he has big upside at this price point. He can score 20 real life points. He's flashed 25 fantasy points in 5 of the last 9 games, and he played 11 minutes. You just don't know what Cronin's going to do. You take a defensive possession off, you take a bad shot, and you're like texting and you're like saying here it is, like it's over. Dylan Andrews, man, I was clicking his name early in the year. I thought he was going to have a decent year this year, and it just hasn't been there. Well, of course, he's down here at 4,400, and he's been producing. So, that is super frustrating. You look at it, man, 18, 25, 21 fantasy points. The minutes have been there. It's, rocking like low 30s right now. 21% usage, 21% assist rate. He's just not a good offensive player. Against tier A and B teams, he has a 61 offensive rating. So this isn't great. But Clark, Mack, Andrews, Mara, if Bilodeau's out, I'm going to probably have 2 of those guys, and I'll probably be playing daily with them. And then in cash settings, you're probably just going to want to play Kobe Johnson in there as well. So, yeah, Jay, it's 70 implied totals, not bad. The pace up spot here, they go over by a few possessions. It's going to be pretty sweet, man. So, a lot of options here on the UCLA side. We'll have to pay attention to the Bilodeau news.
Yeah, the Bilodeau news really setting the tone for a lot of what we can do and what we can expect to be able to reach, right, in terms of some of those spend-ups that we've already hit on that we like a lot and some of those more positive game environments. The Bilodeau news will play a big part in that. So pay attention to that. Pay attention to @OneAndDoneCBB on X. Make sure you give us a follow over there. We're going to be retweeting stuff and putting stuff into your timeline, so make sure that you follow us there. Anytime there's a social media site or app or whatever, just search @OneAndDoneCBB or OneAndDoneCBB. You see even there on Blue Sky. I hear that's the place to be. You got to get over to Blue Sky. Who knows? But OneAndDoneCBB is yours truly is not. But maybe I got to get over there and make sure Dr. William Cannon hasn't been claimed yet. But we'll see. Good stuff there. How about the USC side, Mike? Pace down. UCLA playing good defense here, but USC should get a 3-point boost on this one. UCLA just giving up a ton of threes. And, let's start with Desmond Claude, actually. 7,800 here. Another guy that's going to log the whole game because a team like USC, 271st in bench minutes. That gets the thumbs up right there. We like that a lot more than the other side. So Claude's going to be out there the whole time. And it's not just the real life points, the ancillary stats added onto it as well. You can play him in cash or tourney, I think, Mike. And even, he's not going to cost you as much as some of those other options that we hit on earlier. But for him, this is more like an elevated price tag. So maybe more of a tourney play, I guess, for Claude. So, when you look back at that Iowa game, he sniffed that triple-double, but it's a totally different game environment. I don't know that that's in the cards for Claude, but not saying he couldn't have a nice one here, Mike.
Yeah, these guys are interesting for tournaments. Him and St. Thomas, where they're at price tag wise, no ownership on these guys. Thomas kind of profile similar to DFS to Claude. Like the price is up, so it feels like, considering this matchup, man, like he can fill up the stat sheet, but you have to look at this matchup too. Like Cronin is a defensive monster. So we'll see, man. I don't know that I'll be able to click the button on either one, but they're certainly interesting in tournaments. The rest of these guys, man, Yates at 5,800, like his price is down $500, but he's like very, very shot dependent. So I'm probably going to pass on Wesley Yates here. Chibuzo Agbo, he's 5,500. He's playing max minutes. He's taking a bunch of shots. He's coming off the dud against Nebraska with the price tag down 1,300, and the fact that UCLA has been giving up a lot of 3-pointers with some of his rebounding upside, it feels like he could be a solid play at 5,500. But there's opportunity cost at paying 5,500. Here, especially with all the UCLA guards being $1,000 cheaper, essentially. So Rashawn Agee, who Darren's mentioning here in the chat, man. He's 5,300. Musselman's gone to him more than Josh Cohen. He's down $700. 4 straight games where he's had 24 to 48 fantasy points. He's a good player. He's a good player at Bowling Green last year with Marcus Hill. He has stock upside. He's a solid rebounder, so I don't mind going here. I find Josh Cohen to be a little interesting at 3,600. Like I kind of wish he was still in the A10. But you come over here and some of these guys, it's just like there's a reason why you're producing, kind of in the mids and the lower mids. So he averages a fantasy point per minute, but he's super volatile with minutes and the role, like it's just super volatile as well. So just a name worth mentioning. You got too many other value pieces. So this guy's like a tertiary type large field option that I probably won't even click, as crazy as I get in tournaments sometimes. So yeah, man, people are going to play the UCLA side, the USC side, outside of maybe some AG, probably going to be ignored, which is kind of interesting for tournaments.
Dude, I just keep thinking about Sky Clark. Darren's sky's the limit. Sky is the limit, and you know that you can have what you want, be what you want. I had to come back to that. It's Biggie's okay to still sing his songs, right? He's not. We don't have, because of his association with Diddy. We don't have to pretend like we don't like Biggie, right? Okay, all right, we're good. Sky's the limit for sure. Branula is saying fouls are a worry there. Mike, does that concern you at all?
Branulus has the DeLorean that tells me he's going to have fouling issues, and I'm going to play Josh Cohen in tournaments. But yeah, he does like to hack, so yeah,
he doesn't. It's fun,
right? Why not?
Bam, right there. In addition to leading the district in assists my senior year of high school, I also had quite a few hard fouls. I like to foul a little bit, Mike. I understand being able to hack a little bit. Sometimes you got to impose your will. But hopefully, not in this game. If we're playing him at 5,300, hopefully we don't see the fouls there for sure. What kind of flex was that? Talking on a college basketball show, talking about leading the district in assists at a 2A high school in Texas. Wow, good stuff there. Keep the live chat rolling, Darren, Branulus, Peanut Butter Posse. We love seeing y'all in there. Tubby, if you're still with us, shout us out. Drop an emoji if you do emojis. If not, just, let us know what you think about this last game. Oh, 1,309 subs now. See, it's the climb on the way up right now. Let's get to 1,310 by the end of it on our way to 11 gazillion, fulfillion, and 1, I believe, is the goal that we're shooting for. But right now, let's get to 1,310 before the night's over with, as we get to the final game on this slate before we get you out of here. And it's the team where these are two of the teams where if I'm filling out a bracket right now, I've picked Arizona to win the last 2 years, and we see how well that's gone for me. But if I had to fill out a bracket right now, the team that would be remaining at the end of that bracket would be Iowa State for me. 154 implied points in this one as they visit Arizona. Let's start with the Cyclones. 78 implied points here, Mike. A favorite on the road. Both teams top 70 in tempo in the country. Going to be a lot of 3-point shots and assists in this one. Iowa State's just a good basketball team, Mike. They lost to Auburn by 2 in Maui. And then something crazy happened in Morgantown, West Virginia, because that's just things happen in Morgantown, right? Other than that, this is just a really, really good basketball team. And Josh Jefferson for the Cyclones, 10,200 here. This is the absolute max price, and he's still performing. Mike, I know you haven't used him. We've talked about that in our group chat. You haven't really been all over Jefferson. I'm not a fan of jamming guys in at max price. I talked earlier about trying to catch guys when they're on the way down a little bit, but this is max price for Jefferson here. Now, 3X, what worries me, Mike, 3X is a real possibility here, and that absolutely buries your lineups in that scenario. So when we look at projections, I mean, he does project pretty decently against Arizona's front court, but man, like if you could just, do you feel like a 32
opportunity cost,
like that,
man?
where it's
You're
just
passing
like,
on
I mean,
the Michigan forwards and the Iowa forwards, man. Like,
I don't know. It's gonna be tough to go 10.2K for Jefferson.
Yeah, I mean, Cooper Flag's 11, and then all the Iowa bigs and the Michigan bigs like are in the 8 and low 9. Like there should be no ownership on him. This happened on Saturday. They were all max priced on Saturday, and they're even Curtis Jones is even more because he went off at a 50 fantasy point game. He's at 9,800. There might not be a hotter player in the country right now. He didn't come off the floor. He takes 1 million shots, man. 15 plus field goal attempts in 6 straight games. He's a big time 3-point shooter, 40% from 3. He's shown some rebounding upside. The steal upside is real. He's actually number 8 on the Ken Palm Player of the Year metrics. Like no one saw that coming. We all had Gilbert and Lipsy, and that's not a bad secondary now and tertiary piece for Iowa State, which is
right.
That backcourt is insane when you factor these 3 guys in. So yeah, Curtis Jones. Opportunity cost, like he's 1,400 more than Bruce Thornton in a freaking nuke spot against the Iowa. So I don't think anybody's going to play him. And yeah, he could go for 50 again against Arizona. Gilbert, not going to be owned, 8,800. Really thought we'd get a big discount off of him just because Jones has been playing so good and he hasn't had to do anything. I mean, he's been under 20 fantasy points in 2 of the last 3 games. But only, couple $100 here, $400 here.
400,
yeah, makes him a solid pivot off of Jones. But it's like, are you pivoting or are we just like getting too cute here? So he leads the team in usage and assist rate. Lipsy here, 6,100, cash game only for me. Doesn't feel like he's going to go under 3X in this type of game environment. Just has a very, very little tournament upside now at 6,100, man. Just a different role.
I'm doing the Lipsy dance.
You're doing the Lipsy dance, man? Well, if you tell me that, yeah, I mean, he could go for 32, but it's just so many things for him have to go right because he's like the 4th piece on this team now. So
I said I'm going to keep doing the Lipsy dance until it rains. You do the rain dance until it rains, and that's why it works. He's got to hit that ceiling game, Mike. I know we've been maybe saying that for the last 4 times we've covered him. Like we're waiting for this like game to happen where he just takes over and does what we expected Lipsy to do in the preseason regularly for this team. 6,100. It's almost like, like when you're playing poker and somebody puts that sucker bet out there and it's like, I shouldn't pay this guy off, but I'm going to see what he has.
Yeah.
Lipsy is that guy right now for me where it's like, it's almost like this. There's no way I should make this call. There's no way that I should play him at 6,100. If I'm going to find somebody on this side, I should spend up for Gilbert or Jones or Jefferson. It's just hard for me to not want to get in on him. I think a lot of these guys, most of the guys on this side, Mike, are not going to be very highly owned. It's going to be hard to roster any of these guys, which again, in a tournament, if you're trying to get different, we talked about Corey in the single entry, getting a little bit different player in the secondary pieces, and he ended up winning. He got different and found a way to do it there for him. Getting different in this situation where, I mean, Jefferson, Darren saying JJ's a double-double or, a double machine bonus is implied. I mean, okay, so, again, like, is it? If it is, I get it. But, I mean, again, 35 fantasy points, if he doesn't get there, if he gets 35, I'm buried.
Oh, yeah.
It's over.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying you can't play him, but you have to take that into consideration when you're dealing with anybody on the Cyclone side for sure. Napsy Hustle hopping in there in the live chat. Let's go Cyclones. Yeah, going against Arizona, the hated rival of his. Forks up. How do they forks up? Sun Devil, Arizona State there. Longtime Arizona State supporter Christopher Napier, CC Napier out there. No love for him in a cycle. And we're going to get to my buddy Caleb Love here in a second. Cam, hey, good to see you, man. Going to watch the rerun.
Just spending all that money.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, having some fun out there. Spending them green screens out in them streets. We appreciate you, Cam. Thanks for hopping in, letting us know you're checking in with us. Always love to see you in there. We shouted you out earlier, and we'll shout you out again. Our man taking down that big tournament the other night, winning himself a cool, what was it, 500, right? Nice $500 there for our guy Cam. Good stuff, Cam. Let's get to the Arizona side and get out of here. It's not just the guard play. It's not just JJ. It's Iowa State, and we knew this coming in too. This was not a surprise, but they play a little bit of defense. Sixth in the country in defensive efficiency. So Arizona's having to deal with that. Both defenses have been good, but we know they're going to get up and down. Just possession-wise, Mike, there's going to be some points scored in this one. This isn't a 132-point implied total like Duke and North Carolina State earlier. There's going to be some points scored here. And, yeah, let's start with Caleb Love, even though Darren not showing any love for him in that cyclone of a defense that he's going up against. And, of course, when the lights were the brightest against Colorado in prime time, 37 minutes, and he went 3 for 14. Like, that's – okay, let's look
Love experience.
Let's look at the bright side. And he still somehow managed 30 fantasy points. And that's what you love about Caleb Love, no pun intended, is that at 7,900 now, let's say he goes 8 for 14. And instead of 30 points, he hits a couple of threes. You know, he's going to punt up some threes. He's going to get to the bucket a little bit more.
And get some free throws.
Get some free throws. That's 45 fantasy points right there or more. The upside is there every time Caleb Love takes the floor. This is a tough defensive backcourt for him, but we've seen them, you know, they're not immune to it. You know, Jordan Ivy Curry had his way with them. Well, maybe not had his way with them, but he had a nice time against them. Small coming into Javon Small coming in.
Small wrecked them.
Yeah, I'm not going to be so kind about that one. He just absolutely shredded them. And I guess, you know, it doesn't – I shouldn't have to say this, but I will. He's just forever a tournament play, Mike, Caleb Love. And it's – another guy that my son, and I'll tell this story, I don't mind, I'll tell it every time we talk about him. My son watched Caleb Love play last year in March and leading up to that tournament. And my son, my 7, 8, whatever he was at the time, is just like, that's my guy. I love Caleb Love. I love watching him play. And I'm like, oh, geez, like, this is the dude. But again, it's because he watched we sat there and we watched an Arizona game late at night where he just went full, not the full Caleb Love experience, like sarcastically, like we got against Colorado, but the full Caleb Love experience where he's hitting everything. And man, at 7,900, if you can get that Caleb Love experience, you're set.
Yeah. I mean, I'm intrigued in tournaments. I mean, absolutely. Arizona side is kind of interesting. I mean, Jaden Bradley sitting at 7,300. I don't know why he's $500 more expensive than he was on Saturday. Just a cash type guy. He's playing big minutes. Whether they get blown out, whether they blow him out, whether it's a tight game, his rates are just kind of average because Love just takes so many shots, and they have a bunch of forwards and wings that soak up a lot. So Bradley's just kind of a weird spot. Like him more when he's in like that low 6 range. KJ Lewis at 5K. So I think the algorithm here got Bradley and Lewis mixed up. So, you know, KJ went down $800 after crushing Colorado. That was a great spot for him, just the pace in that one. So obviously Iowa State loves to get up and down too. I like that he's back into like the 6-man role. He's just very volatile, and the spot's kind of scary. And then you're also taking an opportunity cost with the volatile UCLA value too. So I think Lewis is interesting. More of a secondary value piece, and then. Man, the guards are the wings and the forwards here, man. You got Vesar, Awaka, Townsend, Bryant, Del Orso. Like, spin the wheel with these guys. Awaka went nuts last game, but then, you know, you play him again and he's just going to disappear. He's going to get eliminated by fouls. Vesar, you know, he's got stock upside, but are the minutes going to be there? Like, is Awaka going to get in foul trouble? Townsend's in a reduced role, you know, 18 to 20 minutes. Bryant, he's got the long-term NBA upside, but he typically needs like a blowout or an injury to do damage there. You can't project either one of those things in this particular matchup. And then Delorso went off too with the Waka, which was completely crazy. Season high in minutes. He can easily only play 12 to 16 minutes. Instead, he got 20 plus, right? And he's super shot dependent. So I wouldn't just like completely chase that effort from Delorso. So man, KJ Lewis and Caleb Love are interesting in tournaments. And then if you know which forward, I think Awaka would be the one. I wouldn't mind passing up a Vasard either, but spin the wheel, man, because it's kind of tough to know what's going on. So that's about it for this hammer side right here, Jay.
Bring the hammer. Please, hammer, don't hurt him, as a wise man once said. And as another wise man once said, let's get to the core four. Let's get to it. The core plays that we want you to play when starting your lineups. And like normal, I'm going to take the cash core four. And I'm going to start with Bruce Thornton. You mentioned him a little bit ago, Mike. I talked about him earlier for Ohio State, 8,400. You can either start with Thornton or you can spend it up for Ace Baldwin at 9K flat, the Penn State guard. They play all the minutes, nice game environments. So you first spend up, opening up the cash game, Thornton or Baldwin. There you go. Kobe Johnson, 6,800, super safe, lock for 20-plus fantasy points there. Tyrese Proctor, another safe pick. Again, cash games, a little bit not worried as much about the ceiling, concerned about the floor. And that's what Proctor gives you in a game with a huge team total and only 5,200 there. And then if you are like our guy Darren, who said sky's the limit, the UCLA value there, Sky Clark, 4,700, or Dylan Andrews at 4,400 there, either one of those guards. And then I mentioned it earlier when we were talking about the game, the Bilodeau news is going to play a big role in this one, because if he is out, Mara is going to be one of the most popular plays on the slates. And I think you just got to take that free square if Bilodeau is out. Mara at 4,200 there. So 6,225 per player remaining. And then what we did there was, as you can see, we kept all of those forward spots open for some of those payups that we like. So you can kind of get mix and match and find a way to get a couple of those guys in there. So
and they're probably playing two UCLA values, so you're gonna be able to get there.
Yeah, so you'll be able to get there for sure. And Mike, how about in a tournament perspective? A little bit different approach here. Obviously, like I said, cash games we're worried about more about the higher floor, not worried about the higher ceiling as much. But in the tournament settings here, a little bit of volatility comes with it. And some of these plays, I mean, Golden or Wolf, somebody's getting 50.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's kind of like pick which one you think, whether it's ownership wise or play them together to be different. So I think there's a clear line of sight. You pick the Michigan stud, you pick the Iowa stud. I like Con from Duke, Con Knipple at 5,900, and then UCA value. And I think you got it maybe a little bit riskier. So Mara, obviously, if Bilodeau's out, everyone's going to play him. But Sheldon Mack's kind of interesting just because he has 25 fantasy point upside, but we don't know if he's going to play 11 minutes or he's going to play 26 and take 14 shots, which happens a lot. So, Golden or Wolf for me. Golden obviously being 1,200 more. The Freeman Sanford, $400 difference there. You got Con there at 5,900 from Duke. 55-25 here if you're taking the more expensive route. So obviously, if you take Wolf and Sanford, you're going to save yourself $1,200, $1,400, $1,600 there to be able to obviously push up that average salary remaining there. So and let's be real, man. Like the core here, pillars, but we're probably playing. Even if Bilodeau is in, you're probably still playing 2 to 3 UCLA guys. If Bilodeau's out, you're probably playing 2 to 3 UCLA values. So, I mean, you're going to have the money. You see the per that we leave 6,200, 5,500. But when you factor in another one of those, 4K guys from UCLA or any of those secondary value pieces that we talked on, throughout the show, then, you're right back into the mid 6s and 7s, able to get another guy that you really want. So, yeah, man, I think it's pretty interesting. And what's weird is I don't know that we're even going to get the Bilodeau news because it's a late tip. So, the good thing is that you probably want to use a lot of forwards. So using Mara and the utility, you can easily pivot if you leave yourself, $300-$400 to get to those cards that are like Andrews, Mac, Sky Clark. So yeah, man, pretty interesting, and playing it differently obviously is going to help.
No doubt about it. Playing it differently is going to help you get those green screens. Show them off to us at One and Done CBB on X, any of the social media sites. Make sure you follow us over there. If you're hanging out with us on Twitter right now, on X, Elon's hellhole, whatever you want to call it, make sure you get over to YouTube. One and Done College Basketball, One and Done CBB, whatever you want. Type it in there. You're going to find us over there in those YouTube streets, and that's where you want to be. It's where all these videos are dropping, all the content is. So make sure you're following us over there on YouTube. Notification bells, because sometimes Mike's going to go live before lock. You don't want to miss that. You hit that big time. It was a slate the other day, goes at 4:00, ended at 5, gave you an hour to tinker with your lineups, man. I mean, that's the sort of stuff you don't want to miss. Mike's bringing the heat, and we want you to be a part of it. So make sure you hit those like and subscribe buttons. 1309, I believe, is where we still are, and we appreciate those of you that push that button on this fine college basketball broadcast. Darren dropping his thanks in there, saying go Mean Green. Good to see you, Darren, as always. Thanks, Cam, for hopping in there late, as well as Nape C. Hustle, Granulus, Peanut Butter Posse, our guy Tubby, Scott Harris dropping that 5 stars in the chat. We love seeing that. And then Jason B., of course, contributing as well. And, of course, our guy Corey, the king of the single entry, hopping in there early with us as well. If you hung around with us the whole time, we appreciate you. Push those buttons, do your thing. That's that guy, Mike, the captain of the Green Screens Media ship. Thanks for joining us tonight, Mike, and being the baller that you are, bringing us all the heat that you're doing. Make sure you follow that guy, Adam C. Holland 34 on Twitter. At Fantasy Nav in those Twitter streets is Eric the Blue, who was pushing buttons tonight. CC Hustle, of course, doing things behind the scenes at The Real Napier, hosting when I get teeth pulled and all that stuff, Everybody's doing their part around here on the One and Done universe. And that includes you. So thanks for hanging out with us today. Take care of yourselves. Tell somebody you love them. Show us your green screens when you get them. I am the JAYHEINRICH. Come again. Peace out, y'all.
Thanks for stopping by the office. Get your fantasy prescription by subscribing to the channel and checking out drroto.com. And until the next visit, be well and take care.